Let's make another really delicious sheet pan meal. This is another one of my absolute favorites. I could eat the entire pan of this. That's the only downfall with this recipe. First, grab a really large sheet pan and line it with some parchment paper or some foil. Then you're gonna take a pound of Italian sausage and start cooking that. And if you want, you could do even more sausage. You could go up to 2 pounds there. While that's cooking, you're gonna start adding stuff to your sheet pan. I added a little oil first, and then I'm doing 2 packages of the gnocchi, and then I did 16 ounces of mushrooms. And then you're gonna add that sausage, mix it up really good, and then just use the entire jar of pesto and then mix it up really well. Pop this in your oven at 450 degrees, bake it for 20 minutes, take it out, flip it real good, and then bake it for another 20 minutes. Then whenever that came out, I took some Parmesan cheese and then I shredded a bunch of that over the top and then added some red pepper flakes. Place that back in the oven just for a bit, just to get it all nice and melted. I am obsessed with this one. I hope you guys give it a try. Let me know if you do. Let's make a really easy and delicious lunch for me and the kids. First, I'm taking a package of the Hawaiian rolls, and this is the hardest part, is just cutting it down the center. And then you are going to layer on all your meats. I'm doing ham, salami, and pepperoni, and then I'm also adding provolone cheese. And I am doing my cheese more in the middle of the sandwich. I don't want the cheese to be on the top because then when I bake it, it's going to get stuck to the bun, and I want to add some toppings. Once you are finished with that, you are going to melt 5 tablespoons of butter, and then you're going to add some garlic and herb seasoning to this, and then some red pepper flakes, and then some grated Parmesan cheese. Just mix this up. Now take this delicious butter mixture and then spread it all over those sliders. And I'm using every bit of it. Bake this in your oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. And while that bakes in your oven, you're going to make this delicious lettuce mixture. Take whatever kind of sandwich toppings you want. I'm doing banana peppers and red onions. Just chop those up really good. And then I am also adding some sliced black olives. Just toss this up well, and now you're gonna make your sauce. I'm taking around 1/4 cup of mayonnaise and then adding a few tablespoons of zesty Italian dressing. Just mix this up, and you're gonna pour this right into your lettuce. Just mix this real well, and then I'm also adding some pepper to mine and then mixing again. Once the sandwiches come out of the oven, just let them cool a bit on your pan. And now you are ready to enjoy. These are great without the lettuce mixture, but they're even better with it. Let's make a really simple and delicious dinner. First, I'm taking 4 of the jumbo russet potatoes, just piercing those with a knife, adding some oil, and then some salt and pepper. Just bake these as you would bake your baked potatoes. Whenever those potatoes are about done cooking, I started cooking 1 pound of ground beef. And you might want to take those potatoes out a little sooner because they were really hot to kind of handle. When that ground beef is finished cooking, you're going to drain all that grease and then add a packet of taco seasoning just as you would make your tacos. Now grab those potatoes and then slice them right down the middle. Open them up really wide, and then you can really add whatever you want to these. I'm adding some butter and then some sour cream and just mixing those up really good now. Then grab that taco meat and then put it right over the potatoes. And then just top it with whatever kind of cheese you want. I am going with this one today, and it was really good. Then just place these back in the oven for a few minutes, and then I flipped mine to broil so they got a little golden at the top. These taco potatoes were incredible. I definitely recommend this one. It was just a really simple dinner and everybody loved it. Let's make a delicious breakfast, or you could even have this as a dessert. First, grab a stick of butter and just melt that in the microwave. And then to another bowl, you're gonna add about 1 cup of brown sugar. To that brown sugar, I'm gonna add about 1 tablespoon of cinnamon and just mix that up really well. And then you're gonna take a can of the jumbo biscuits, the flaky kind, and then just split those in half, just like that. And then I'm grabbing a bread pan and I'm just gonna spray a little bit of oil on mine. Then grab one of those biscuit pieces and you're gonna put it in that melted butter. And then you're gonna dip it in that brown sugar, just like this. And I'm just gonna stack mine up for now. And then you're gonna lay it in your pan, just like this. Bake this at 350 for about 35 minutes. Now I'm gonna make just a really simple icing for mine. I'm doing 2 cups of powdered sugar and then 3 tablespoons of butter melted. Just mix this up and then add a little bit of milk at a time, depending on how thick or thin that you want it. Just go for a tablespoon at first and then go up from there. When that bread comes out, just let it sit in the pan for 5 minutes or so, and then I removed mine. And if there's any drippings left in your pan, I poured mine over my bread, and then I poured that icing right over the top. This bread was absolutely amazing. I highly recommend. Tonight's dinner was Crock-Pot beef and noodles. This one is so easy to make and really delicious. First, you're going to take around a 2-pound chuck roast, and then I'm cubing mine up a little bit just so it can cook a little faster, and then season it with whatever you want. I'm just using a steak seasoning. And then I'm grabbing a skillet and searing mine, but if you want to, you can skip this step. It's not necessary, but I think it adds a little more flavor. I am also adding a sliced onion to the same pan. And once that's golden on all sides, I am going to throw this into my crock pot. Then I added around 2 cups of beef broth, and then 2 packets of the au jus mix, and then 1 packet of onion soup mix, and then I'm doing around 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. I cooked mine on high for around 5 hours. My crock pot does run a little hot, so it might take a little bit longer, and low will be around 8 to 9 hours probably. Once it's done, you're going to either cut it up or shred it up, and then I'm cooking my noodles separately and then adding them to that so they don't get really gummy. And then to make mine a little creamier, I do add heavy cream to mine, around 1/2 cup to a cup. You can be the judge of that. Just mix this up and it is all ready. This one is so delicious. I hope you guys give it a try. Let's make one of the best one-pan dinners. First, I'm grabbing some bacon and I am chopping mine up. And I'm only going to use about half of this, so do about 12 ounces of bacon. Then grab a very large skillet and start cooking that in your skillet. And I always do mine at a medium to low temperature. Now you're going to grab whatever kind of seasonings that you want. I am using ranch seasoning and Slappy Mama seasoning, but you can use whatever. I cut up about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of chicken, and I'm seasoning that really well with those seasonings. And then toss it up with a couple tablespoons of cornstarch. Just set that aside for later and keep cooking your bacon. When that bacon was about halfway done cooking, I am adding half a diced onion to mine, and if you want, you can always skip the onion. And once that bacon is nice and crispy, you're going to remove it from the pan, leaving that bacon grease. Cook that chicken in the bacon grease about 3 minutes on both sides until nice and crispy, just like this. And then you are going to remove that chicken from the pan as well. Then you're going to grab a package of gnocchi and then add it to that same pan. Toss it up for about 5 minutes of what's left of that bacon grease until they are a little golden like this. Now you're going to turn down that heat and add about 3/4 cups of chicken broth. Then usually I would do a cup of heavy cream, but I am almost out, so I'm doing a 1/2 cup of heavy cream and then a 1/2 cup of half and half. Season really well with the seasonings that you used before, and then just mix it up. And then I added about a cup of freshly shredded Parmesan cheese. Just stir this up until nice and smooth. Then I added a couple handfuls of spinach to this and just mixed it up. Now you're gonna add that bacon back to your pan along with that chicken. Just toss this up really well, and I am topping mine with a little bit more of freshly shredded Parmesan cheese. This dinner is the best. I hope you give it a try. Let's make a simple and delicious lunch for me and the kids. First, I melted 3 tablespoons of butter in the microwave, and I'm adding some garlic and herb seasoning to that. Now you're going to grab a muffin pan and then spread that garlic butter on 8 of the muffin holes. Then you're going to grab a can of the flaky layer biscuits, the jumbo ones. And now you're just going to split those in half. Try and be as even with it as you can. Then you're going to add that to the bottom of your muffin pan, and then I went up the sides a little bit too and flattened it out. Now grab some roast beef. I split mine in half and then folded it up and then placed it on my biscuit. Then you can grab whatever kind of cheese you want. We're going with provolone cheese, splitting that in half as well, and just adding it to the top of the roast beef. Now grab another biscuit and then split that in half, and then place that right on the top. I smashed mine in there pretty good too. Now you're going to take the rest of that garlic butter mixture and then spread it over the top of each one. Bake this in the oven at 350 degrees for 15 to 16 minutes. Then I'm making this little packet of au jus mix, just as per package directions. Whenever those little French dip biscuits come out of the oven, just let them chill in the pan for a bit, and then they should pop right out. I had zero trouble getting those out of the pan. These really came out so perfect. This little lunch was so good. And you can change out the meats and the cheeses here as much as you want. I highly recommend this one. Let me know if you guys give this one a try. Let's make a delicious lunch for me and the kids. This is definitely one of those fun lunches to make, and it is incredibly easy. First, grab a sheet pan and then line it with some parchment paper. Now you can use whatever frozen chicken strips that you want. These are our favorite right now. So you're gonna cook these per your package directions. While those are baking, you're gonna get the frozen Texas toast and then line those up, and it really depends on how many you're making for everybody. We're making 6, so I'm making 6. And the chicken that I use has to be flipped after 12 minutes, so I'm just putting the bread in then. I flip the bread over and it's usually crispier on the bottom, and now you're going to make a little boat out of the bread just like this, and then set your chicken in there. Then you're going to grab your favorite marinara sauce and then put a couple spoonfuls on the top of your chicken. Once you get all that done, you're going to add a slice of mozzarella and then also some shredded Parmesan cheese on the top of that. And then I'm adding a little bit of Italian seasoning on the top to kind of just make it look pretty. Then put this in the oven until everything melts. Mine was like 3 to 5 minutes or so. These came out so delicious. I do wish I would have just made the whole 8-pack over on the garlic bread, but I highly recommend these. Let me know if you give them a try. Let's make an easy and delicious lunch for me and the kids. First, I'm taking 2 pounds of ground beef and just season that however you would season a burger. I'm using that gourmet burger seasoning. And then you're gonna add a big spoonful of peanut butter and then around a half of a cup of milk. Mix this up really well and then grab a sheet pan and you're gonna throw that meat onto your sheet pan. My hands were ice cold, so I usually do this just with my hands. I flatten it out, but I grabbed a spatula and flattened it out that way. You want it as thin as you can get it. Then I'm grabbing an onion and just dicing that up, and my onion was massive, so I'm just using half of the onion. Right now to that sheet pan, there should be a little bit of room left, and I'm adding those chopped onions to the side. You're gonna bake this at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. While that is cooking, you're gonna take those Hawaiian sliders or some type of slider bun, whatever you want, and then cut those. This is like the hardest part of the whole recipe. Now, when that comes out of the oven, you are going to put those onions on top of the giant burger that you're making and then drain the grease. Then put that back in your oven for another 10 minutes. Then if there's still more grease, go ahead and drain it again. And now you're gonna add whatever cheese you want. My kids like American on this one. Now when that meat comes out, you're gonna add it to those slider buns. Just like this, I usually grab just 2 spatulas and it comes right up. And now you are ready to serve these. Just cut these up and they are the most delicious little sliders ever. I highly recommend these. Let's make a delicious dinner. First, grab a large pot and then fill that with water, and then you're gonna add these baby potatoes in there and then boil those until nice and tender. Once those are finished, you're gonna add those to a sheet pan and then spray a little oil on those potatoes and then that sheet pan, and they're gonna smash those down just like this. I'm just adding a little bit more oil to the tops and then some salt and pepper, and you can change up the seasonings as much as you want here. Bake these at 425 for 40 minutes. Then I took a couple pounds of chicken and I cubed mine up really small, and you're gonna season it however you want. I'm using that rotisserie chicken seasoning and some Slap Your Mama seasoning, and just set that aside for a minute. And then you're gonna grab some pancake mix. I added around 1.5 cups of pancake mix with around 1/2 cup, 2 3/4 cups of water, and just mix it up as I would make pancakes. Then you're just gonna dump your chicken in there and then mix it up really well. Then to a large electric skillet, I'm adding some oil. And green beans are a veggie tonight. And then I'm shredding up around 2 cups of cheddar cheese for those potatoes. You're gonna set that skillet to 325 degrees, let those cook for 2 to 3 minutes, and then flip over and let them cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. You could also just do this in a large skillet. Once those potatoes were finished cooking, I just topped mine with that cheese and then let it melt for a couple minutes. And then once that chicken is nice and golden brown, you can remove that and let it drain on some paper towels. Whenever those potatoes came out of the oven, I just topped those with some chives. This dinner was a big hit with my family. I hope you guys give it a try. Today for dessert, I made this absolutely delicious peanut butter lasagna. First, you're gonna grab a package of Nutter Butters, and you're gonna line the bottom of a 9x13 pan with those, and you will have some left over. When you're done with that, just set that pan aside, and you're gonna grab a separate bowl and add a block of softened cream cheese to that, and then 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. You're gonna mix this really well with a mixer. Then you are going to add 1.5 cups of Cool Whip to this. Just fold this in. Now, once that looks a bit like this, you're going to add this to the top of your cookies, and this is a little tricky, but grab a spoon and it's a little easier. So just like that. And now grab another separate bowl and add 2 packets of instant pudding to this, and then 3.5 cups of milk, and just whisk that up really well. And then you're gonna grab the rest of those Nutter Butters and then put them in like a separate baggie, and then crunch those up really well, and then add them to that chocolate pudding. Just mix that up really well, and you're gonna spoon this over the top of that cream cheese mixture. Now take the rest of that Cool Whip and then place that on top of that. And you're using a 16-ounce container of Cool Whip. Now grab some Reese's and then chop those up really well, and then sprinkle those all over the top. And then you're going to take about 1/4 cup of peanut butter, and I'm microwaving mine to make it really runny like that. And then drizzle that all over the top of those Reese's. You're going to let this sit in the fridge for at least a couple hours so that peanut butter hardens. This was so good, probably my favorite dessert. Tonight's dinner was a really easy one-pan dinner. This one only took around 15 minutes to make, and it was so delicious. First, I'm cooking 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and then once that ground beef is about cooked, I am going to drain all of that grease. And then you're going to grab 1 pound of orzo. Add that to your skillet as well, and just keep tossing this up. And I also added a few tablespoons of butter. Just toast that up really well, and then once that butter is about melted, I'm adding this whole carton of beef broth, so 4 cups total. And then I'm adding some pepper cheese to mine. I just cut the tops off and then just roughly chop those up. I'm doing around 5 or 6 of those, and you can do more or less, whatever there. And then you're gonna grab some ranch seasoning. I'm adding a couple tablespoons of that and just toss this up. And then you're gonna add a package of au jus gravy mix. Mix this up really well, and I almost forgot to add some of the pepperoni juice. I did around 1/4 of a cup of that. And then you were gonna let this boil for 8 to 10 minutes until that orzo is cooked through. Just make sure that you keep tossing it up so it doesn't stick to the bottom. This one pan Mississippi orzo was amazing. I highly recommend. I made another delicious and easy dinner tonight. This one is kind of different, but it tasted amazing. First, I grabbed 12 ounces of bacon and I chopped mine up, and I'm going to start cooking that in a large skillet. Then I took around 3 pounds of russet potatoes, and I am chopping mine into very small cubes, just like this. Then once those are all chopped up, I am adding them to a bowl, filling that with some water. And then I'm just going to cook mine in the microwave for about 8 to 10 minutes while that bacon is cooking. Then I took a few chicken breasts and I'm splitting mine in half to make them nice and thin. And then just season them however you want. I'm doing some smoked paprika and then some garlic and herb seasoning. Then once that bacon was nice and crispy, I'm just removing mine from the pan, leaving all that bacon grease in there, of course. And you're going to cook those potatoes in that bacon grease. Just make sure your potatoes are dry. And then to another skillet, I'm just melting a few tablespoons of butter and I'm cooking my chicken in that. I did about 3 minutes on each side. For the potatoes, I'd let them sit for about 8 minutes or so, and then I'm flipping them, and then wait another 8 minutes or so, and then flip again, and then just kind of toss around until nice and crispy. Season those however you want. I'm just doing some pepper, Italian seasoning, and a little salt. Then once those potatoes are how you want them, I'm drizzling on just a little bit of Alfredo right now, tossing them up. And then I'm going to add everything else back in. I'm adding that bacon, and then I'm topping it with that chicken, adding a little more bacon to it. And then I was going to add parmesan at the end, but I didn't have any. I had Asiago, so we topped it with some Asiago. This dinner was amazing. I hope you guys give it a try. Let me know if you do. Tonight's dinner was truly so amazing. First, grab 12 ounces of bacon, and I am chopping mine up. Now you're going to grab a really large skillet, and I always cook mine at a low to medium heat so nothing splashes, and I think it crisps up so nicely. While that bacon is cooking, you're going to take 2 yellow onions, and you're just going to slice those up very thinly. Now you're just going to set that aside until that bacon is done cooking. Just keep tossing up that bacon until nice and crispy, and then you're going to remove that from the pan, leaving all that bacon grease in there. Then you're going to throw those onions into that bacon grease. Cook these at a low to medium temperature for 30 to 40 minutes. Then once you have 10 or so minutes left of the onions cooking, you're going to get your pot of water boiling for your angel hair pasta. And don't let those onions burn, just keep tossing them up. Then start cooking that pasta just per package directions. Once those onions are finished, I'm also adding a couple tablespoons of minced garlic and just tossing it up. Once that pasta is cooked, drain your pasta water but save a cup. I turned off my heat on my pan, and then I'm adding about 3/4 to a cup of half and half, then around 1/4 of a cup of that pasta water, and you can add more or less here. Then I added around 1/2 of a cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. Just mix that until nice and smooth, and then I also am adding some red pepper flakes to mine. Mix again, and then you're going to add your pasta in and just toss up really well. Now grab that bacon from earlier, add most of that in, and I always save a little for the top too. Then top with more shredded Parmesan cheese and a little bit more red pepper flakes. And now you are ready to enjoy. This dinner was so good. We served ours just with a side salad for dinner. I highly recommend this one. Let me know if you give it a try. Today I'm making a really easy and delicious breakfast that my family loves. There's really only a few ingredients in this one too, so it's real simple. First, I'm cooking 1 pound of sausage, and if you want, you could switch this up for bacon too. And next time I think I'm going to add some onions and peppers too. I think that'd be delicious. Then to a large bowl, I'm adding those hash browns in with that sausage. Make sure you don't use frozen hash browns either. Then just grab whatever kind of seasonings you want. Those are the ones I'm using. And then add 1 egg to that. I forgot to video it. Just mix up, and now you're going to add some shredded cheese. I'm going with cheddar this time. Just mix that up really well till everything's nice and combined. And then you're gonna grab a muffin pan and then spray just a little oil on that. And now fill those little muffin holes with that hash brown mixture and just kind of push it down. You're gonna bake this at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes. Then right when they come out, you're just going to smash those down a bit because I am adding an egg to about half of mine. Some of my kids don't care for eggs. Then the ones I didn't add egg to, I added just some more shredded cheese on the top, and you're gonna pop these back in the oven. Cook that around 9 to 12 minutes depending on how you want your egg cooked. I did mine for 11 minutes. I do wish I would have went a little less, maybe like 9 minutes. Then let those cool in your pan for just a bit, and then I'm using a butter knife to just kind of cut around those, and then they pop right out. And the other ones just kind of twist them down and they pop right out as well. We love this simple, easy breakfast. I hope you guys give this one a try. Let me know if you do. If you need a really simple and absolutely delicious dinner, my family loves this one. And this is everything you're gonna need. First, I'm grabbing some of these little steaks. These are sirloin tender steaks. You're gonna put a little oil on those and then some salt and pepper and whatever kind of seasonings you want to. Then you're gonna grab a large pot and get that water boiling for your angel hair pasta. And then I'm chopping up around 4 garlic cloves. Grab a large skillet and you're going to cook those steaks at a medium to high heat for about 3 minutes on each side. And if you want, you can obviously cook them longer. Once that water is boiling, go ahead and throw that angel hair pasta in. And once those steaks are finished cooking, you're just going to set those aside for now. Now deglaze that pan with about 1/4 cup of beef broth. Then I added around 6 tablespoons of butter. Let that melt some, and then you're going to throw in that garlic from earlier. Toss around a bit, and then I'm seasoning mine with some Italian seasoning and then some red pepper flakes as well. Then I chopped up a couple cups of broccoli and I'm adding that to it. I'm cooking my broccoli around 5 minutes or so. Then once it's about finished, I'm adding a couple more tablespoons of butter to this. Now you're gonna throw that angel hair pasta in there, toss it up really well, top with some shredded Parmesan cheese, some red pepper flakes, and then those steaks. Tonight I'm making an amazing dinner that my family loves. We're making a pizza pot pie and it is absolutely delicious. I'm starting off by cooking a pound of Italian sausage. And while that's cooking, I'm gonna make the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuit dough. Just make that as your package directions say and then set it aside. And now you're gonna go back to that Italian sausage and you can really add whatever you want in here, anything that you would like on your pizza. So we are adding those mini pepperonis and I'm just toasting them up a little bit. And then I'm adding some traditional pasta sauce to mine. And I left about 1/4 of that sauce in the jar. Then just add all your toppings in. We're going with black olives, the real bacon pieces. Then I'm adding around a cup of cheese. I'm just doing Colby Jack because I already had it shredded up, but usually I would use mozzarella. Once that all is mixed up, you're gonna grab a pie pan and then empty that filling right into it. Then grab that Cheddar Bay biscuit dough and I'm just putting little spoonfuls all over it until it is completely covered. You're gonna bake this at 400 degrees for 25 minutes covered, and then you're gonna take the cover off for another 25 minutes or so until everything is golden and cooked through. When that's about done baking, you're gonna make that little garlic butter packet that your Cheddar Bay biscuit dough came with, and then right when it comes out, you're gonna spread that all over the top. We just served this in some bowls and everybody devours it. I hope you guys give this one a try. Let me know if you do. If you're looking for a really easy, simple treat to make for 4th of July, this is a great one. First, grab a package of sugar cookie dough, and then you're gonna place those little cubes of the cookie dough into a mini muffin pan. And you could also do this with chocolate chip cookies. It works just the same. And then you're gonna bake those cookies per package directions. And then right when they come out, I take a little measuring spoon and just form a cup out of them, just like this. And then I place mine in the freezer for about 10 minutes. And then you're gonna push them down and then twist, and they come right out. Make sure to not try and take those out right away either, or you'll just break your cookies. And then I'm taking this pre-made cheesecake and filling those cookie cups up with that. I'm using one of those large Ziplocs. It kind of worked. And then you're just going to top it with some blueberries and strawberries. And that's it. Now you have a cute little festive 4th of July treat to enjoy.